Welcome to the second ever DraftKings Pick6 in our tutorial videos here that we're bringing you so that you guys know exactly what you're doing as you enter into this new DFS Pick'em style platform that DraftKings is offering us. In this one, we're going to go ahead and show you a little bit of how to sign up, really nice and easy considering if you already have a DraftKings account, you can really just transfer funds back and forth. Also want to show you a little bit of how to build a lineup and what that consists of. What is a pick set? What are we doing when we put these lineups together? But first, we can really simply just show you it's going to be very similar in terms of creating an account if you don't already have one. If you are already using DraftKings, though, you can simply click on this link that'll be on the sign up page, and that'll take you to your login. Now, I'm already logged in here because I've got all my stuff saved. So it's really simple, but make sure that you do claim that $50 bonus bet there by just spending $5 when you sign up, right, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you can either use your desktop and go to the website and then download the app from there and your funds will transfer. Or if you're using a mobile platform, just go download Pick6 app. If you have a sportsbook or DFS account with DraftKings, you will be like, wow, I already got money in there because your funds will automatically transfer. And then as soon as you bet $5, you'll get $50 in bonus bets. Now, those bonus bets are not withdrawable. You have to use them on the site. And you have to use them within a certain amount of time before they expire. I believe it's 14 days. But yeah, I mean, you can run right through them pretty easily. And these are peer-to-peer prop contests. We go over all that in the sort of the overview of what is DraftKings, but that's how you get signed up and get started.
Now that you're signed up, what do you do next? Well, you're going to want to start creating those pick sets. And a pick set is just simply your list of players that you're putting into one pick set. You're going to see here, you're obviously choosing simply more or less in terms of the prop that is offered here from DraftKings Pick6, and you fill up your lineup using different players to put this together. Couple of things you should know off bat. You cannot use the same player twice. So once I add Ja'Marr Chase's receiving yards to my pick set, I can no longer use him on receiving TDs, rushing receive yards, or any other available props that Ja'Marr Chase has up. The other thing is every pick set has to have one player from two different teams at least. If there were more opportunities here or more lines up for the NFL, which right now we only have Thursday Night Football up as we record this, then I would have a lot more options here to put maybe even some options from the Sunday games to put different teams on. So you can have 6 different players from 6 different teams, but you must have at least one player from that's on 2 different teams for this pick set to work. So what happens when you make the actual pick set? Well, let's go ahead and put one in here. We'll take more passing yards for Joe Burrow against the leaky pass defense for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll take more pass yards for Lamar Jackson because he's going to have to pass once Joe Burrow's done getting all his yards. We'll look at some receivers here. Zay Flowers, we can go more on him. And Mike Sticky Gesicki is now going to be the lone tight end for the Bengals. So we'll throw him in there as well. So I've got 4 picks. Now I could add 2 more if I wanted to get this to 6. You can see the multiplier that it gives you if you go up in picks. So making 5 picks instead of just 4 would increase this to a 10x multiplier. And we can talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But I'll just go ahead and submit this for $10 right here. And I want to show you a little bit of just what happens once your pick is in. So now that I've submitted this and it's taken its time to enter it because we're running a lot of internet here, we'll get this in and I'll show you can go ahead and look at what your picks are.
Going all overs, Josh. The total is 53 here on Thursday Night Football. Exactly. So I guess we could go back and forth. But yeah, I mean, that's part of what we're talking about is like, do you want to be contrarian in any way? Most people will lean towards overs. So, I mean, it's something to think about. If all 4 overs hit, will that be a popular play? I mean, maybe going 4 for 4 would be unpopular, but yeah. All right. Now you see here, his estimated prize total. You can follow along once the results start to go live. There's the live tab up top. To see that, you can also see your recent lineup totals and how you finished and all that stuff in terms of how you stack against people, which brings me to the kind of more the strategy questions of how am I building a lineup? Like a pick set is a lineup is a pick set. It's not DFS where it's just a lineup that you're really choosing player by player. As we know, the biggest strategy question is how many guys do I want to pick? Do I want to take 2 players, 3, 4, 5, or 6? And obviously the payout is bigger the more you select, but the risk is also higher. It's very similar to if you were to parlay all these player props on a sports book. It would have a huge plus number next to it, but it's hard to hit 5 parlays in one. So you want to try to identify, I think, the lines where you see the most value, and you have to meet these requirements especially in a head-to-head slate like Thursday Night Football we're looking at here. You've got to make sure you take one player from each team. You cannot take the same player twice, as you mentioned. And you have to be contrarian to a degree, like I'm saying, but I don't know if it's really as much as DFS. It's definitely not as much as DFS, where it's you have to, if you really want to win these huge 1,000-person prize pools, you really have to just think completely outside of the box, take something that nobody really expects to happen, like pick a kicker as your MVP some nights, and that winds up happening. What you really do have to do though is just think about because of what Josh is saying, like Joe Burrow against a bad pass defense. It's like, well, what if I just buck that trend and say the Ravens pass defense is going to exceed expectations, or something's going to happen and I'm going to take under there, and you could be part of only 5% of the people in that contest that were willing to take under on Joe Burrow. But those are all the kind of risk reward factors you talk about if you're going to pick more players, if you're going to take those kind of risks, and there's different strategies for different sports. We're just walking through NFL right now, but there's a lot to think about, and we'll get into some of those strategies when we do the sports specific videos down the line.
And just a hint of some of the differences, for instance, I mean, some of these, individual sports like golf on the PGA Tour, if you wanted to pick any of those kind of sets, and there's nothing there, but if you wanted to pick something for PGA right now, you wouldn't really have to pick guys on. It's more, there's less restrictions, right? You don't have to pick guys on different teams. There are no teams. So there's a slight difference between the way that you play these individual sports versus the team sports as well. Key thing to remember about your lineups here too is the way that voided players work. So if a player is in your lineup, it is locked, right? Now I have a couple lineups here as an example. I'll use the 4-man lineup here where I took all overs in this 53-point total between the Bengals and the Ravens. So in this case, if all of a sudden Joe Burrow's hammy comes up, tight in practice tomorrow and he's unable to go, well, he's on my pick set, right? But what happens is my pick set is now, instead of a 4-man, it's just a 3-man. And now all of the payouts and the structure of my potential winnings is going to be dependent on more of a 3-man lineup rather than a 4-man lineup. But now you're saying, well, I spent $40, let's say, on this pick set, and that means that I should have 40 entries, but you're taking away one entry per one of these picks that I have per entry, essentially, right? So I'm basically just losing money. Every entry that Joe Burrow was a part of, so 40 entries, let's say, because you spent $40, 40 Joe Burrow entries come back to you in credits back to your account. So you don't get that money back as money, you get it back as credits. So in this case, we spent $40. There's 40 Joe Burrows out there for, a quarter each or so, right? Just doing some simple math, you're probably looking back at getting like $16 or whatever it comes out to, just based on the Joe Burrow entries coming back. Now that $16 is bonus bets, which you have to use on the site. You cannot withdraw it. But it is a nice way to make sure that you're not losing any money. And as I said, your max payout now is just a little bit less because you only have 3 players to work with, whereas everybody else in your picks, in your contest specifically, has 4 players.
Yeah, but the key thing is here that players are not voided if they start to play and then do not continue, right? Those are just unders for the most part, because the minimum play requirements are bare minimum. That it's basically one snap in the NFL. Yep. In basketball, this is a big deal. I mean, we've seen, a lot of coach speak with like, this guy's going to try to give it a go, or he's going to give it a go. And then so that is a high risk play. If you're going to take an over on any of those guys on the flip side, it's a low risk to try to take the under there. Especially if the book has already, Pick6 has already put up their line and it doesn't change. Right. Let's say James Harden, 23.5 points, and then he's not able to, or he comes up with a hamstring injury. Then you're thinking under there. Of course, contrarian logic would say I'm still going to take the over. I'm going to be the only one taking the over. But that's all strategy things to think about. Basically, that the players are just voided if they don't suit up at all. But if they do suit up for even a play or two, they're probably going to go under if they have to leave with injury.
Yeah, 100%. Unders never die until they're dead. So always remember that. But that's all the time we have for you in this version of the tutorial that we're giving you guys here on DraftKings Pick6. We're going to be getting into plenty of strategy as well moving forward so that you can help you go ahead and make the best decisions with all of your pick sets. And until we see you then, happy betting.